but I really don't have any direct effect on their evaluation. Now, if I have a problem, I just go to, my boss and be like, hey, these people aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. And then he'll call the commander, and then, we go that way. But a lot of times, I don't like going that route unless it gets really bad. But so I manage people, but I don't really manage people. But everything comes through us, and then we have to send it up to our higher commands when they want information and stuff. So that's why it's a little different, I guess.
Yeah. So you're like the go-to guy, but you're not necessarily in charge of the people you quote unquote manage. Like because you don't write their evaluations. You're not doing like you did this right and this wrong. Like you're more so the right-hand man.
Yeah. Make sure they're checks and balances, make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And then the staff level, across the board, that's really what we do.
Gotcha. What do you think makes a good manager? Or successful manager, rather?
You got to know your people. You got to get to know your people. Because, and I've learned this through years of experience, the way I talk to, my son or my brother's son is two different ways because they're two different people. The way I talk to you and the way I talk to Jasmine, my wife, is different because when you, as a manager, you have to learn your people, because I may be able to yell at you and be like, what are you doing? And you'll be okay with it. You're fine.
Yeah.
Well, I do that to Jasmine and she's like, nothing. I got nothing.
Silence.
Right. So, you have to get to know your people and you have to know your people's strengths and weaknesses, because a good business person will surround herself with good people because you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. But if I know you're good at PowerPoint and she's good at, Access or whatever it may be, then I can use those versus what I know in Excel and we can create something, versus trying to give you Excel when your strength is, Access or PowerPoint. Doesn't make sense. So you have to learn your people, know your people's strengths and weaknesses, and you have to use those. Don't degrade people. You don't have to yell. I mean, in the military, they give that aspect of people are always yelling and this and that. That's not always true. Now I learned that through experience and through time that you don't have to yell at people, to get your point across. But it's also talking to those people, treating them like people, because regardless of what you do in life, you're a person first. You're Christy first. I'm Robert first. It's never Sergeant First Class Chadwick or, Dr. Jasmine Hunt Chadwick or whoever. We're Robert and Jasmine first. And that's how you have to treat people. And if you treat people that way, like a person first, you will get more respect that way than, using your rank or your authority or your position or whatever. Because we're all people. When we go home, I'm Dad, I'm Robert, I'm Honey, baby, whatever. So you treat me that way and I'm going to treat you that way.
Yeah. I'm not going to call you baby, but.
Okay, that's fine. But,
Fair.
You have to talk. You have to talk to them, not at them. But you also, too, then you get into the coaching and the mentoring, and helping them, because some people need more help than others and make sure they're doing what they need to do to get where they need to be, because your whole goal for me as a manager is for you to exceed where I'm at to get past me. Right now, if I don't achieve the same thing you achieve, then obviously I wasn't doing something right, in my personal space. But if you do it, then that means I was teaching you what you need to know to get where you needed to be. Not from a negative aspect, don't be the negative leader of, well, she's always, Chrissy's always yelling at us, this and that, and da-da-da-da-da-da. I mean, you take the good with the bad, but don't be that negative leader that they're always talking about and this and that. Yeah.
How do you frame that for your employees, though? From the beginning, in the middle, at the end, are you building the plane as you're flying it? How do you do that? How do you build that rapport?
Me personally, from the beginning.
Yeah.
I just sit down and talk to them and be like, hey, I'm here to help you. Don't lie to me. Don't do this and that. I'm going to treat you like a person. I expect the same thing from you. Blah, 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 blah. Just do a little initial thing, first couple minutes. And then some of the stuff, you learn as you go. Their strengths and weaknesses and all that. But, most part, just for that first initial conversation, you kind of set the grounds, You don't go, hey, this is what we're going to do. No, done that. It doesn't work. Just, again, talk to them like they're a person.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, because some people just aren't receptive and they do things their own way. So,
has it worked though? If you've ever have you ever gone into those who you were managing and given the framework with like a strong personality and said, I'm Sergeant Lieutenant Chadwick, like this is how it's going to be run. Don't talk to me. I'm in charge of you. Make sure it gets done.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've done that before.
Has it worked?
Not really. Don't talk to me, but like, hey, I'm in charge. Like, this is what's going to happen. This is how things are going to run. This is what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. And not really like screaming or yelling, but we're having a conversation. Mm-hmm. Like, this is the way things are going to work. This is what I expect things to happen. Yeah, I mean, I've done that before, and it works. But some people aren't receptive to you being honest. Mm-hmm. Because they have their own issues. But I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm pretty close, but yeah, I've ran in situations where people don't think that you know what you're doing, or you haven't done things or whatever. They think they should be in charge, so they never really listen. That's a hard situation to be in when you tell them, hey, we're going to do this way. But they're like, well, why don't we do it this way? Blah, 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 blah. Well, I shouldn't have to tell you as a leader that I've already talked to my boss. We've already had a closed door discussion on why that's a dumb idea. And they're like, nope, this is the way we're going to do it. When the boss says do it this way, you do it that way. I shouldn't have to. I mean, my personal opinion, I shouldn't have to explain it to you. If I tell you, hey, Christy, we're going to go over here, we're going to, X, Y, and Z. Why are we doing it that way? Well, that's the way the boss said they wanted it done. That should be in a conversation. Mm-hmm. When you didn't talk to the boss, that should never be. To me, that should never be a conversation that we have right then. If we're trying to get something done. Now, later on, if we're going to have the conversation, sure, we can have the conversation. But at the point in we're trying to get something done, there's no need to have the conversation. Mm-hmm. It's a one-way conversation. But now if he says, get it done, if he says, well, I say he, I had a situation arise once. My boss said, hey, get this done. And me and my soldier went over there, and she was like, well, I think we should do it this way. And I'm like, okay, well, if you think it's better, we'll try it this way, whatever. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, those are cases too. Whatever way gets it done. But if the boss says do it this way, you do it that way. So I mean, for me, that's how I operate.
Have you found any differences serving, say, in the North versus the South?
No, not really. I mean, because soldiers are soldiers, but they're all the same. I mean, people are people. I mean, just different dialects, different the way they do things. But as far as like going and doing their job and listening and following regulations and guidelines and doing all that good stuff, it's all the same.
Going from that concept of like North versus South, obviously I'm pro North. What's the weirdest thing that you've heard living in the North?
The weirdest thing I've heard?
Like you're just walking around, I don't know, Stop and Shop, and you see an interaction, you're like, that's weird. That's goofy.
Nothing really. I mean, nothing really phases me.
Nothing phases you?
I mean, well, for the most part, nothing really.
Nothing.
Although one thing I did see the other day, though, that I thought was humorous, there was a guy that was standing on the street, he has a little sign up, will work for food or something like that, need food or whatever. And he was, lucky he hadn't washed a couple of days, he had on some shorts, a shirt, and some shoes. And then we're like 3 cars back, and my wife and I are sitting there watching him. Well, I am, because I do those things. And then the light turns, we were more than 3 cars back because it was a short light. So he was standing there, whatever, doing his thing, holding the sign up. And then when we stopped, the next time we stopped, we were 3 cars from the light. So he walks around like this big electrical utility box thing, and he pulls out a cell phone and he starts texting somebody.
What?
Yeah, I was what? Like, you're sitting there begging for stuff, but you have a cell phone. But now that could have been provided for him by somebody, could have paid for him. I don't know the situation, but it's just kind of funny. Like, and then I seen him actually, that was a week ago. I seen him yesterday again because we were in the same shopping plaza. He was standing in the same place on his phone again, texting or whatever he's doing on his phone. Yeah. And he was like trying to hide it. And I'm like, dude, people can see you. You're like not really hiding. What are you doing? Like, stuff like that I find not humorous, but that's like, okay, that's interesting.
Well, would you move back to the north then, since it's so great up here?
No.
Not even for me?
No. No, I just don't like the cold.
All right. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. That's all I'll give you.
The culture, the people, I've been around a bunch of different places, so it doesn't really matter to me, but the cold is just too much. When you go to work and it's, negative 10 degrees and you got a foot of snow on the ground, like that's just dumb. Like that's just not smart.
Come on. Well, it snows down there for what, like a minute, and it's like, let's close schools. It's just the road condition.
I know.
Like, I know. Meanwhile, we'll have like mountains, and it's like, yeah, we're heading to school.
Yeah. Foot of snow on the ground. You better be out there waiting on the bus. Yeah. That's
what?
Well, because people don't know how to drive in the snow here. Well, they don't know how to drive, period. But that's here over there.
I'll say that for sure. I mean, our sports are better too. Our sports are better.
I can't agree with that.
And why not?
Because we have football and basketball in the South, and I say college football. College football is better in the South. College basketball is better in the South.
False.
Food's better in the South. It's warmer in the South. People are nicer in the South.
I'm nice. We're nice up here.
Not from the jump, though. Because if you stop at a gas station or somewhere down here and you speak to a clerk or whoever, they'll have a conversation with you. Up there, they just look at you like you're stupid and keep moving, which it's personality of the people. I get it. But once you get to know people, people are people.
Yeah. Well, when are you talking to this clerk? Are you talking in the morning? Are you talking in the midday?
Just whenever.
With that, you're a pretty opinionated guy. And with everything that's been going on with Black Lives Matter, the rioting, the looting, the election, when it comes to your social medias, I've noticed not as much opinions being put out there. And something that I didn't realize is there's a reason for that. And I would love for you to talk or speak on why. Like, we've had conversations offline, and I want to kind of talk about, I want you more to speak about why necessarily we're not having those conversations online visibly.
So that's because being in the military, we're not allowed. I mean, you can talk about certain things, but we're just not allowed to talk about politics and this and that. Now, I mean, outside of uniform, yes, you can and whatever. But I don't personally do it because I don't think that it's something you being uniform need to be out there talking about X, Y, and Z and this and that and degrading, or not degrading, I guess downplaying another person for their beliefs or another group of people or whoever it may be. It's just not something you need to do, especially when you're looked at as a service member of the community, police officer, fireman, and whoever, teachers, we get looked at, we're kind of put on a pedestal, so to speak. And I don't think you should use that platform for things that shouldn't be said, I think it's better for people having those conversations like you and I in person because it's like texting somebody versus calling somebody, right?
Yeah.
If you put it on social media, you may take it the wrong way and you'll be like, well, you're a jerk because you said this. Well, that's not what I meant when I posted it. I meant it to be funny, but you could have taken it the wrong way. And then I explained to you the context of what I meant it in, and you'd be like, oh, that is kind of funny. Or whatever it may be. You could take it as somebody being racist or biased or, against someone's gender or whatever it may be. That's why I don't do it, because I'd rather explain it to you in person. And that way have that conversation in person because we can agree to disagree. So, and then the whole military thing is, we're not supposed to talk about it in public. We're not supposed to talk about religion, this and that, and those things and get in those conversations because they can bring a bad connotation to the military and the personnel in the military. And also, a lot of people don't realize this, but the military actually goes and looks at our Facebook and our